Hi everyone, this is Deb Tim, a Canadian girl, and I would just like to congratulate our junior hockey team for taking the gold. Way to go guys, congratulations. So this video is a short walk down memory lane and some plans I have, but I would like some input from you. So please stay tuned. When I first got into cichlid keeping, I had South and Central American cichlids. They were small at the time, but I soon realized that they would outgrow my setup. So it was at that point that I switched over to African cichlids. This tank here is a 60 long that I had given to me. It was the home to my first group of African cichlids. Now you can tell there are more than a Mbuna in here, but I truly love this aquarium. Soon I got my first 75-gallon, which I moved my African cichlids into from the 60-gallon. This tank back then became a mixed African cichlid tank, as I had added some peacocks and haps, and even some cichlids from Lake Victoria. You can see why I fell in love with this species. Finding the Mbuna the most interesting and beautiful, I claimed them as my favorite. I was completely taken with their personalities, colors, and the stories they tell just by me watching the community in action. Hubby surprised me long after that with a second 75, complete with canister filter and everything I needed to set up. That was when I decided to make my Mbuna only aquarium, and I moved all the non-Mbuna out of this aquarium and into their own 75, which became my haps and peacocks community. My haps and peacocks were in my second 75-gallon until disaster struck and wiped out my entire community of gorgeous adults. Well, after going through weeks of loss and heartache fighting a bacterial infection, I was close to giving up. Friends in this community supported me with love and encouragement, giving me the desire to go on. Now when I look at these new little guys, I can't believe how small they were. I called them my comeback kids. I had a brand new group of juvenile haps and peacocks that I was looking forward to watching grow, mature, and color up. I even changed the aquarium by painting the background blue. Last year around this time, I fell into a great deal and picked up a 150-gallon aquarium, including Humphrey, my flower horn, and 2 Raphael catfish. I would have been thrilled with that, but the owner at the time was moving and was hard-pressed to sell everything. With the tank and the stand, he included everything from an Eheim Pro 3 canister filter, power heads, air pumps, extra gravel, a whole box of Malaysian wood, and everything else he had fish-related, even a python, extra nets, medication, and water testing kits. I had a week for him to get all of that ready before I could go and pick up my new aquarium. So that gave me time to decide what my plan would be. I decided I would move my haps and peacocks community into the new 150. Humphrey the flower horn would be relocated into my 75-gallon that the haps and peacocks vacated. In time, I made more changes, selling off all my haps and peacocks, and then I moved my Mbuna community into this 150, which is where they are now. After moving my Mbuna into the 150, that once again left me with an open 75-gallon. I was very excited about finding something special to live in it. It took some researching. Hubby and I went to Fanatics in Mississauga, my favorite fish store. I decided on Geophagus. There were many different species to choose from, but somehow I was stuck on the Altifrons. When I first bought them, they were quite a bit smaller. That was about 8 months ago now. They are the largest of the Geophagus species and will reach a size of 10 to 12 inches. Some of mine are already pushing 7 inches. I have decided it's time for me to move them up in the world. Now I'm faced with the job of tearing down my 150-gallon and getting it ready to home my Geophagus. It's quite a daunting task to tear down this 150-gallon Mbuna aquarium. As I do this, I will pick out my favorite 35 and keep those. The rest will be either rehomed, my sons can pick some out, my neighbor may want some, or the rest will go to my local fish store. With Mom needing so much care at this point, I just don't have the time or desire to sell them. In fact, if any of you were close to me and would like to come for a drive, I would let you pick whichever you like. Knowing that they would go to a good home would be well worth it to me. Once the tank is bare and torn down, I plan on removing everything, even the substrate. There are scratches in the glass that drive me nuts. I am going to try and buff them out while the tank is clean and dry. Until the tank is filled and ready, I won't move the geos out of their 75-gallon. My plan is to move them directly from the 75 to the 150. That leaves me with a bunch of Mbuna. The 60-gallon long that has been sitting in my basement was home to my Colombian sharks. After I rehomed them, I used this tank for my pond fish over the winter. This year, I didn't bring them in, opting to purchase a pond de-icer instead. So now I'm going to be able to clean this tank and set it up to hold my Mbuna while I'm switching my tank over. I have lots of HOB filters that I can use for the time being. I have to admit, once you go to canisters, you never go back to HOB, but it's a godsend to have a few as backups. The remaining Mbuna will have to be stored in a few bins for the time being. It's going to be a big job, but worth the effort when it's complete. I really hope to get started this week sometime. Now I would like to leave you with a request. My geos are beautiful and getting large. I'm not sure if I'll be moving the rainbows and rasboras with them. I will be moving the cleaning crew of 3 bristlenose plecos and a golden algae eater. There should also be 2 autocichlids in this aquarium, but I haven't seen them in a while. My request to you is, do you have any suggestions as to what would go well with the geos? I am leaning towards getting a few blue acaras. I think they would really look awesome with the geos. What would you suggest? Again, I appreciate your help so much in this. I'm not very familiar with South Central or South American cichlids, but this is a new adventure for me. So until next time, this is Deb Tim signing out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.